action, and welcome everybody. This is PnP Weekly, episode 207. It is 24th of April. Spring is here, sun is shining, and it's getting hot.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
You're in the wrong location then.
Yes, I am.
Yes, there we go. Sun is always shining, even above the clouds, if nothing else. Gotcha.
Having that clarified.
Yes. Now that we have covered the weather this week, let's move on to more secondary topics. Now, in the PnP Weekly, we talk about the latest on Microsoft 365.
The latest weather.
And weather. And my name is Vesa Juvonen. I'm a principal product manager in Microsoft 365 areas. And with me as a co-host is Bado.
Hey, everybody. My name is Waldek Mastykarz, and I am cloud developer advocate at Microsoft for Microsoft 365.
Excellent. It's been, at least for me, it's been pretty crazy weeks. We had the MVP Summit last week, which kept things pretty busy, even though remotely, but still moderating on all of that stuff. It's actually a great opportunity to listen what's happening also within the the whole stack as well. So
yeah,
it's like it's not too bad, but it's pretty long days considering that some of the sessions were like it stopped like 2 p.m. Pacific time, which is not a suitable time in here. So
that's 1 a.m. for you or 2 p.m.? 2
a.m. 2 a.m. is 4 p.m. Yes.
Yeah. Ooh, that's brutal. What was the general vibe? I mean, we obviously know it's NDA, but what was the general vibe? You know?
Obviously, there's a lot of interesting announcements, interesting features and capabilities coming out. I think if we think about, let's say, MVP Summit 5 to 6 or 7 years ago, it was a bit different before the cloud and the release schedule what we have right now, because then you could actually see something which is going to be released or announced a year ago from now, and there was kind of a bit of a different level of an, let's say, NDA. That was same NDA, but still it has a different meaning. Now we're releasing stuff like every single week. We're rolling out all the time new functionalities and features, and so it has a bit of a different thing. But then now there's a lot of really cool stuff in the pipeline. A lot of features and products are going to be completely refreshed. Not that we would cause any impact for end users as such, or the customers or developers or partners, but it's basically adding additional experiences, and Copilot is everywhere. So that's pretty obvious as well based on the announcements. And of course, this one was a hybrid setup, so there was quite a few people in MVPs actually on site in Redmond. So a lot of people excitement related on first time after pandemic getting together, and like today's MVP visitor, who's Chandani Prajapati. I'm missing Chandani's last name. Wow, did I get it right? No,
almost.
Prajapati. So she's an MVP who got the MVP status during the pandemic situation. So having that opportunity to fly over to MVP Summit, and not that everybody had that opportunity, but still some of the people had. It just has a, let's say, of course, excitement. There's a positivity. Feelings are excitement. So
I wonder. So I recall like my first summit way back when, in person.
78.
Yes. Yeah, we basically, so I had to go on Titanic, to go to the US.
Yes.
Anyway, I wonder what's the experience like today for MVPs who are new now. Is it kind of the same thing, or is it different? Has the, I don't know, perception, the relationship, has that changed, or is it very much the same?
I would say that the first time when you go to Redmond, I think that's the same for anybody. It doesn't matter if you're MVP or if you're first time employed by Microsoft and if you go to Redmond, because you're basically, the bus gets out of the, oh my God, this is the headquarters, this is the mothership. And then you walk to the campus area and you're like, how big is this again? Sorry, what? How many buildings is there?
Well, and the weird thing is, right, like there is no limit in a sense. You don't feel like you're in and then you're out.
Yes,
you
exactly.
Just walk and there's buildings and you're like, hey, like that could be. And then you kind of look at the rooms, the kind of decor and the posters, and you're like, still campus.
Yeah,
still campus. And then you just keep walking, and there's like you walk across the highway, and there's like still campus.
Exactly. And even on Redmond downtown center, you'll be like, hey, what is this building stand for? Microsoft. Okay, interesting. What about Bellevue? Microsoft.
Exactly.
What?
Yeah, in Bellevue, which isn't around the corner, right? Like Bellevue is a fair bit out.
Yeah. Well, 5 kilometers or 10, but anyway, so it's
on the highway it takes you like 2 hours to get there because
of the traffic. Yes, indeed. I think the skyline is finally getting there, so you can actually from Bellevue you can take the train to Redmond. Not yet, but it's basically yes.
Train.
So yes, you can actually take a train or a trolley or whatever we call them but you can take the train or a subway, whatever we call them again, from airport to Redmond town center.
Oh, Seattle Redmond. I was like, airport in Bellevue. Where do we have?
No, Seattle.
Yes. I was like, where
yes. So the train already gets you from the airport to the downtown of Seattle, and now they're basically doing the further lines connections and all of that, and that's actually taking you to Bellevue to then the Redmond and Microsoft campus. So transportation center, is it building 40 or whatever by the highway? That's actually goes track by that time. So
that is really cool. That is really cool. Well, I mean, next time when I am there, I mean, you will be there probably every week, but next time when I am there, which will be like in the next 8 years or so, like I will maybe be able to grab a train from the airport to the campus.
You can do, however, now we're taking too much time on having this discussion, but you can, however, think about how long does it actually take to take that kind of a train which goes from airport to Seattle, then Bellevue, then Redmond. So how long is this? Come on.
Fair enough. Taking Uber or a cab.
Yes, or a car rental.
I want to go there, and you go only there, and you don't go anywhere else, as opposed to making a huge loop.
Exactly. But still, opportunities there.
It goes the other way back too. Maybe you can go directly from the airport to first to campus and
no, it's not a circle.
Okay, well then not. then we are keep using cabs and Ubers and shuttles.
Anyway, today we'll have a visitor who's Chandani. Wow, that was a long route. Chandani, she's based in India and been an MVP for 2 years now, a bit over 2 years. And we talk about her journey. We actually just recorded that before doing this because I was excited. There was a lot of interesting storylines within her history as well. But rather than kind of teasing that out, let's jump to the interview and come back to the articles right after that. Welcome, Chandani, on the PnP Weekly. Super thrilled to have you here and talk about you and your past as well. So let's jump right into it. Can you do a quick intro, who you are and what do you do for a living?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, thanks for having me. So myself, Chandani Prajapati. I'm from Gujarat, India. And currently, I'm working at Rapid Circle India as a cloud consultant. And I'm having total 5 years of experience in IT career. And apart from this, I awarded as a Microsoft MVP in M365 development category in March 2021. And I'm hopeful for this term as well. So keeping my finger crossed. And apart from this, if I talk about my skill set, so I currently am working in SPFX side. And if I talk about my hobbies, so I love traveling and cooking. So yeah, I think that's all about me.
Let's actually do the first.
Things to unpack. Yeah, so many things to unpack.
Let's not jump on anything.
Like destination, travel, favorite recipes. Where do we go from here?
No. That's what I actually wanted to actually jump first. What is your favorite travel location? What's the most awesome thing where you've been?
Location. I recently traveled Singapore, so it was really amazing country.
It is. It's a small country, but it's beautiful. It's unclean, beautiful. So clean.
Yeah, and I also tried cruise, so it was also like a wonderful experience.
Cool. Was it a cruise from Singapore?
Last month only. Yeah.
Okay.
Singapore with cruise and Malaysia.
Cool. That's really good.
Nice.
So yes. Kuala Lumpur probably, and because that's on the same side of the, yes, exactly.
I wonder how long it would take us to do a cruise from where we are to Singapore.
A while.
So, yeah, it's like you would have to go all the way, like pass like all the way to Portugal and then down to
Now,
Africa.
There's no cruises from India to Singapore either. So you actually fly to Singapore and then you cruise there, right?
Yeah.
Is that yes?
Yeah,
Just
I
to be
have
clear
to
with that.
fly from India to Singapore and then Singapore to Malaysia. We travel by cruise.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really cool.
Fair enough. Well, I mean, still a flight from here to Singapore, it's a long flight.
Yes. And it's actually when you're flying from Singapore to Helsinki, your boarding pass says "Sin to Hell." Not kidding. SEN to HEL.
As long as you're not on a flight 666, I think you're safe.
Exactly. Anyway, so whatever. So let's change the job subject. So, but Chandani, you said that you're a developer and in Rapid Circle. What does a developer in Rapid Circle actually do? Is that just development 24/7 or 8 hours in a day, or how does the workday look like?
Okay, so in Rapid Circle, I'm currently working with one team. So our customer came up with their requirement, and as I already mentioned, like I'm focusing on SPFX side. So we in a team are responsible for like as per the requirement, we analyze that, then we provide estimation, then we develop, and then customer creates a Jira tickets, and based on Jira tickets we start working on development. So we are responsible for like analyze, development, testing and products, and we are also part of the like client communication.
Yeah, so being a developer, well, that's not unique. So being a developer, of course, means many things. Yeah, the connection is a bit choppy, but hopefully it will get fixed. So being a developer, it's basically not just writing a code, but it's also about analyzing and coordination and communication and all of that, as you're saying. Now, you said that you're a SharePoint Framework SPFX developer. How did you came to be an SPFX developer? How did that happen?
Okay, so yeah, if I talk about 2 years back, I was like in my previous organization, I got a chance to work with one SPFX web part, but I don't have any idea about the SPFX because at that time, like I have only 1 or 2 years of experience, and I was learning like site, column, content type, list, layout, and so on. So I got a chance to work with SPFX web part. Then I have like started exploring basic concept of JavaScript. Then I have created one SPFX web part for the client's requirement, and then like at that time I have created first SPFX web part. Then I liked it to work with like JavaScript, React side. So yeah, I mostly focused on this front end side, and currently I can say like I have till date I have created lots of SPFX web parts. And
how do you like the SPFX? How do you like the development? You clearly seem to be excited about SPFX.
Yes, no. I love to work with SPFX. And mostly in React side.
Yeah. And you're building on the web part development, you're using then React as well. Is that the case?
Yes, mostly using React when I was like working with web part.
Yeah. Cool.
Because we can easily like communicate, we can create multiple components, and we can easily create the child parent communication, and there are lots of things. Yeah.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense, because then you can reuse those components across the individual web parts easily and all of that, which is really good. So now, and you also said that you're an MVP. How did that happen? What does it mean to be a Microsoft MVP? Putting you on the spot.
Yeah. So if I talk about my community journey, so it's very long, but I would like to mention some of the points. So in like January 2020, I have like resigned from my previous organization, and I wanted to take a small break. And at that time, my intention was like, after taking a small break, I will start with another organization. But unfortunately, in March, there is COVID-19. So I didn't get a chance to work with good organization. So at that time I was like nervous because I don't have any job. So my husband suggested me like because he was also doing open source contribution and blogging. So he suggested me that you can start open source contribution or blogging. So you will easily find any great opportunity. So I thought like I can start because I was free at that time. So I have started by blogging. So I was thinking like on which topic I will write a blogs, because on internet we can find lots of blogs that are available. So I have some basic knowledge of SPFX. So I thought like let me explore SPFX in depth, and I will write a blogs based on like my daily basis learning. So I have started exploring SPFX, and I have started writing blogs on C# Corner platform. So and then I have like when I was writing a blog, I got a chance to connect with multiple community peoples on LinkedIn, Twitter, and so on. And after blogging, at that time I was like exploring React only. Then I was thinking like let me try with another framework as well. So I don't have much knowledge or idea about Angular, but I thought let me explore Angular with SPFX as well. So yeah, I did research on internet and I found one library, PnP SPFX UMain generator. So I have tried to explore that, but unfortunately I found one issue, like I was not able to create a solution. So I created issue in that library, and Stephen replied me like current Angular version is not supported for this library. And at that time Angular version was 8. So I thought like I can start open source contribution with this library, because I got chance and I took it as an opportunity, and I have started contribution from this library. So I have created first feature for the Angular 8 supports, and Stephen posted on the Twitter and LinkedIn, and I got really good response from all of you community members, and it really motivated me to like do more contribution. So I have continued on. So I have continued like more features and all. Then using this my open source contribution, I got a like consulting job.
Oh, seriously, that is so cool.
Yeah,
that's really good.
So it's like I already wanted a job, so yeah, I thought like it really helped me a lot. So side by side I have started consulting and also open source contribution. So then I have explored PnP related like all the platform libraries and all. So then there is one idea in my mind like for the SPFX sample data table, and I checked on the PnP webpack sample and it was not available. So I thought let me create this sample. So I have created sample, and then I have created a PR for this library, and Hugo like released that, and then one day he connected me like, would you like to give a presentation for your demo? But it was my first presentation, so I was like nervous because how I will be how I will be present in the community. So he told me like, don't worry, me and David will help you. So David and Hugo helped me for the presentation, and at that time David was my co-presenter. And if I'm not wrong, from that there is one initiative has been started, first time presenter. So I also learned a lot of things from Stephen, David, and Hugo. So I would like to shout out to all of them. And then I have like explored another libraries, PnP script samples and all, and I have started contributing based on my everyday learnings. So then in April 2021 I got C# Corner MVP award for the my in which platform I was writing the blogs, and I'm also doing like open source contribution as well. So one day Stephen connected me and he like asked me, do I nominate for the Microsoft MVP? So I was thinking like, am I eligible for this? Because
so am I like, enough? Am I worthy? Yes, you are.
Am I good enough?
You are. Yes.
So same thing I told to Stephen, like, am I eligible for Microsoft MVP? So he like told me, yes, you are. So I thought if I'm getting opportunity, then I can like take a chance. So I told, yes, you can nominate me. And finally last year I became an MVP. So
congratulations.
So cool.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Awesome journey. And also a
I
great
can
example,
say like sorry.
Go on.
So because of my open source contribution, I finally got a chance to work with Rapid Circle as well.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's really cool to see like how it all starts, from the leap of faith in a sense, like, well, I mean, you don't have a job, so what do? And then you take on something that is really vague, like how will that lead you to anywhere even? And then like from one thing comes another and another and another. Like you got C# corner MVP, you became an MVP, got a job, another job, and it's like, how cool is that? That can be really an example of, well, that's exactly why you can do that, right? To basically show off your skills at scale to really everybody, as opposed to, well, I can only know that person, I'll call them and hope for the best. No, right?
Yeah.
Take initiative.
And now that you've gone through that, then you can be the mentor for the following people, of course, in the same way as Hugo and David and everything else. And that I think that's the whole mental mindset of that's how we expand the goodwill and everybody wins, which is absolutely great. But your story is actually really, really cool because, again, it starts from being unemployed and start contributing on open source and then ended up having a good job in Rapid Circle. Really, really cool.
And being an MVP.
And being an MVP, of course. Yes. Now, related on the open source contributions, I think, Chandani, you had this moment. Let's not talk about the companies or anything because that doesn't matter. But before Rapid Circle, you were employed in a company and there was some sort of a, let's say, disagreement around the open source. In Rapid Circle's case, they allow and promote you to contribute in open source. And of course, not every single company is like that. And of course, these kind of companies, then they do get people, maybe they hire people easily, more efficiently because they allow people to do this. But that's one kind of a reminder for anybody who's watching or listening is that, of course, you need to make sure that it is fine for the company or employed to share the code so that there's no kind of conflicts or any of that. So important piece. In some of the cases, in some of the companies, again, like Rapid Circle, it's absolutely. As long as you don't share the customer code and customer project code, you can still contribute, which is important.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think even on that, right? I think that many times we tend to overvalue the code that we write. To be honest, like you write a web part. So what? Like, is it really, this super nugget thing that will change the world? No, it won't. It's just a web part. Like in a week, you will write another one, and then in a year, another one, and there will be another. And that's not really a unique thing. And also the ideas. Given, the reach of tech now, the odds are that anything I thought of, 10 other people thought of too. Right. And if I will not, and I think the best example of that is the provisioning engine that we have in PnP. There was a time that every single SI in the world probably had their own way to provision things because, well, I mean, you built intranet, you either build it manually by hand and developed and delivered a document that went through all the steps, or you had some kind of script based on something. And then everybody would build their own, but then nobody would share. Well, because it's my unique thing. And then eventually we built one and shared one in the open in PnP, and that became the thing because everybody because there were so much more people working on that in the open than one particular person working for a company A, and that person then moves, and then there's nobody all of that is in the person's mind because it's really minimal work because they don't have time to work on it. So that just leads to you might have as well worked on the one in the open because that benefits everyone, and that's not really the differentiating work. It's just really the baseline, right? So by working in the open, we raise the bar and we let people do things that are truly unique, as opposed to let everybody reinvent the wheel. And it's like, no, but my wheel is more round. It's like, really, dude, come on, right?
Yes, right.
Yeah, that's and it's always better to, well, there's still conflicting opinions, but again, we're seeing more and more, luckily, people being open for open source and building these things together, which is awesome. By the way, that as we were chatting, I was double checking. You, Chandani, the latest contributions you've done actually quite significantly is for the SharePoint starter kit this year.
Yes.
That is a really good example of one of the example projects and solutions which are available to showcase how to use the tooling and libraries and controls and all of that. Can you kind of one more time, of course, the contributions, what you've done opened you the career, and you found the career in Rapid Circle and employment. Any other reasons? Why are you contributing still? You're now employed. You have a new job. Why are you still keep on contributing?
Yeah. So by the way, I can say I already mentioned that I got a job based on my open source contribution. So what I think, like if I'm doing any open source contribution and it helping a lot of people worldwide. So I really like that, because if suppose we are stuck at anywhere, then we are creating any issues in the particular library, or we are putting in on the Stack Overflow, and lots of people are replying us with this. We came up with the solution, and it helps us a lot. So if we are taking something from community, then if we can do, then we can give back to the community. So it helps to everyone. So, and I love to do open source contribution because it helps to everyone worldwide.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I'm focusing on that
really
as well.
Cool.
Yeah,
really cool.
Yeah, and it's actually amazing to see the reach.
And I can say, and I can say like, and I can say like it really helpful for professional and personal growth as well. Because we if like I'm doing open source contribution, then I like connecting with all of you guys, and every day I'm learning lots of things from community members. So it's already helping me for my professional growth.
True. That's actually a good perspective. Thank you for raising that as well, because of course the networking is one piece, the giving back is one thing, but then learning from the others and basically that's how I learn everything what I do, is by reading or taking somebody else's sample and then having a look on that rather than creating from scratch. So I've always been horrible on creating anything from scratch, but rather combining things and then from those build something. It's a different mindset. So.
Yeah. And also another cool aspect is the ability to be able to work with others with whom you don't get to work otherwise, right? I mean, like typically when you work, well, I mean, you work with colleagues and these are folks who are employed with you, but maybe you aspire to work with somebody else because they're smart, they're clever, they know cool things, maybe you want to learn from them, whatever. Yeah. But it's really hard to do that on the job because you would need to find a project where they are and then find a way for your company to be in it. That is extremely hard. But then in open source, well, the boundaries aren't there.
Yes.
You are free to contribute to any project you want. And if you want to work with them, well, contribute to the project with them. And then that gives you a unique chance to learn from some of the best folks in the open, right? So that is really a cool way, also a cool argument to why would you care about working on open source?
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, let's wrap up the discussion in a few minutes. But Chandani, what would be your tips if there's somebody's watching this video or kind of wondering on, okay, how would I then start contributing? What would you say for those people?
Yeah, sure. So if someone is looking for open source, then I would like to suggest we all have our own expertise as per the technology, and in daily basis we are referring lots of documentation, then we are using lots of open source libraries and lots of things are there. So if everyone will think am I good enough?
Yeah.
First point will be this one. But yeah,
the answer is yes. The answer is yes. Next.
But at that time we have to take a positive attitude, not like a self rejection.
Yeah.
And so I would like to give a tip, like suppose if you are referring any open source library, and if you want to do open source contribution, then you can check a issue list. And if you feel comfortable, like I can fix this issue, so you can start working on that. Otherwise, if you have any like ideas for that particular library, then you can create a PR for the new feature. And like suppose like if you have any doubt, like how I can start to contribution and all, so mostly all libraries have their own contribution guideline, so you can follow them, that, and you can start the contribution. And if you have any doubt, then you can like connect with maintainer or creator. They will always help you. So yeah. So apart from this, suppose you have your own idea, then you can also start to work from scratch, and you can publish it publicly, and everyone will connect and like share their idea. So you will get an idea like how I can improve, or if and other will also help you to like update or fix issues and all. So for open source contribution, either we will do it, otherwise we will learn. So nothing else.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Nothing like a failure. Yeah, nothing like a failure.
Exactly. Oh, exactly. Yeah, and I mean, they're like at some point.
And
like, yeah, go on.
Yeah. And in community, no one is like a judge. No one will judge us.
Yeah, everybody is welcome. No one will judge you, and we're here to help in the best way possible.
Yes,
absolutely.
Everyone. Yeah. And community are like always supportive and motivates us to like do more contribution.
True. And I have to call out, of course, if needed, samples are always welcome across the Microsoft 365, and there's multiple ways of contributing for sure. So, and then from there, learning into doing more and more contributions and getting involved in the projects and all of that, and depending on availability of time as well. But cool. Chandani, thank you for this. This is really cool discussion. And again, your storyline is actually pretty cool, because you didn't have a job and you started because of the pandemic situation, and then you started contributing, and now you're an MVP. You're a senior software developer, if I remember correctly, in RabbitCircle. Or what's the title, now that I remember?
Cloud consultant. I'm a cloud consultant.
Cloud consultant, yes, absolutely.
Yes.
And then an MVP as well. So that's actually really cool. Shows the benefits of contributing in open source for sure. So
yeah. Thanks for, by the way, having me.
Absolutely. Really cool to have a discussion and catch up as well, because we haven't had a chance to do that as well. Any last thing, Waldek, from your side? Questions still pending?
All them things. All of them. So many more things. Like, I think the one thing that we haven't asked you is the recipe. Like, what is your favorite recipe?
Oh, the cooking recipe. You said that you like cooking.
Yeah, pani puri.
You can pick only one. You can pick only one.
What was it?
Pani puri. Golgappe. Have you heard before?
No, not sure what it is.
What is it?
Yeah, just.
I found it.
Is it meat? Is it fruit?
For that, you have to visit India.
Yes.
Fair enough. I feel invited. Thank you.
I'll actually add a link on the chat for Waldek after the meeting to check. So.
Yeah, there are lots of spices and all.
Yeah. Cool. I think that's it for now. Thank you, Chandani. Really cool to have a discussion. Thank you for joining us. And we'll have a great rest of the week. We'll jump in the show. We'll jump then to the articles together with Waldek. But thank you, Chandani, on this one. Really cool.
Thanks both of you. Thanks for having me. Bye.
Absolutely. Bye.
I'm hungry now. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Chandani, one more time. Really, really cool. And nice to catch up as well. And thank you for being open and transparent on your experiences as well. And all the best, of course, in Rapid Circle. And by the way, thank you, Rapid Circle, for allowing MVPs to participate on the community work as well, which is super, super important. Should we jump on the articles? Other thoughts?
Let's do that, because we have a few of them in the last week. So let's go through them and let's see what's cooking.
So first of all, on a Teams blog, and nothing really super official business related, but celebrate success using together emojis in Microsoft Teams. And that took a while to actually figure out what. But again,
High Five Day.
National High Five Day. So basically, if you have two, where is it? If you have two high fives matching, there's going to be an additional reaction within the teams. That's basically the news. So more and more, this kind of it doesn't have to be too official, too strict on how do we do things in teams. We can actually, you can smile and do business at the same time. It's mind blowing, isn't it?
What?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No. Nope.
And now then we had a preview. Or preview capabilities on accessing Microsoft Cloud emission data with Microsoft Cloud for Sustainability API. So basically, as based on the usage what you have in Azure and Microsoft 365, you can actually get the emission impact within the data center. Even though, of course, it's Microsoft executed data centers, but we can do estimates and calculations on how much of your company's specific emissions are if you're looking into that information seems to be more and more interesting for people, which is great. Nature first.
Yeah, and I guess that will be the next interesting step, how you can influence it. How can you work more efficiently to lower the stress on your tenant, and with that bring down the emissions.
Yep, absolutely. So that's really, really cool. Now, then there was a update. I'm going to actually talk about this one as well from Bert Janssen related on the SharePoint 2013 workflow deprecation. Deprecation does not mean that it's not supported. It means that we explicitly are calling out that we are not investing in here. This is not an area where you should be investing, but it's okay to use it for now. It's supported, it's fine. But we also give it a dateline, and we give it a dateline of April 2nd, 2026, when we will be shutting it down. And that is 3 years from now. But so there's plenty of time to get prepared, but people should be, and customers and partners should be starting thinking this already today. So I like this level of communication. So we basically say, starting from April 2nd, 2024, all of the new tenants will not have this feature anymore. All of the older tenants will shut it down in 2026, and hopefully by that time you actually transitioned away from that particular feature.
So it will be an interesting thing. As of next year, how can I be able to get an alt tenant if I want to use it now?
Yeah. Yes. Now, then we'll move in here to talk about the changes in the name changes.
Exactly. Right. So for Microsoft Graph PowerShell SDK and CLI, we use an AAD app that we use to authenticate, right? So we use OAuth to basically allow you to authenticate either yourself or use app-only auth. And we changed the name of that AAD app. And the reason for that is that we want to use one AAD app across both PowerShell SDK and CLI, and we want to have a name that covers them both. So the only thing that changes is the name. Does that affect you? 99 out of 100 times, probably not. The only effect that might have on you is if wherever in your code you're checking the name of that AAD app.
Yeah,
I have no idea why would you do that, but if you have something around that,
correct,
you want to update that name because it's changed. So
yeah, absolutely. It should not be an actually impactful thing, but again, good to go out just in case.
Exactly.
Now, Matthew McCart had an article on OData property changes, call records, change notification in Microsoft Graph. OData property changes to call records, change notification in Microsoft Graph. So basically, there is a change in a property name, which might be impacting your code. So basically, there are changes within the field naming and how it will be transitioned. So could again call out, not an optimal situation, of course, but basically these things do happen. So.
But is this on beta endpoint? Is that correct, or is it not?
Unclear. It's 1.0. It is 1v1. So, and V1, typically we don't do these kind of changes, but in certain requirements that might still happen. Obviously, we want to minimize these kind of changes because potentially there could be now a breaking change within the code, which nobody is aware until the change will be forced within a tenant, and then we'll know about it. And that's exactly why we should never ever do this. So, or minimize the impact of this. You want to talk about the Teams Toolkit and Visual Studio Code update?
Always, right? So we've got another update, and these are really great, right? Because these summarize a bunch of work that has been done in the past weeks. And in this time, we're talking about Teams Toolkit for Visual Studio Code update April 2023. And one of the coolest things that stands out immediately as we look at this article is tunneling. And we all know when you want to build a bot, you need to have a tunnel so that internet or Teams on the internet in the cloud can actually resolve the URL of the bot that you run on your box during development. And in the past, we used for that ngrok. The problem with that is that many companies don't allow it because, well, it opens up a hole in systems in the network, allowing incoming calls. So now we use for that instead tunneling, which is native to VS Code. And that is really cool because that is Microsoft technology that we use, that we own, and that works more efficiently. So this is really great news for everybody who had difficulties in the past to build bots because they couldn't use ngrok and they had to do like really weird ways around it. Now you can use Microsoft own tech for that. So this is a really one of the most also, I don't know the most, but one of the more requested improvements related to building apps on Teams.
Absolutely.
And there are some other improvements too around SPFX, right? So in the latest version of Toolkit, we can use a newer version of SPFX.
So this one basically is the debugging, improved debugging experiences for Outlook and Office as well. So
exactly. So with the apps that you build on SPFX, or is it? No, this isn't related to SPFX, is it?
No, this is SPFX. This is SPFX debugging. Of course, this debugging works also for non-SPFX projects, but SPFX projects have been now improved to have an easy way of debugging directly in Outlook or in Office.com. So,
or in Teams.
Or in Teams, of course. Teams has existed there, but
yes, exactly. So TLDR, a really great number of improvements. If you haven't checked it out yet, definitely do so because it's the fastest way to build apps for Teams.
Absolutely. Yep. Really, really cool. And then we had a Viva blog, unblocked Viva deployment and adoption in your organization. Just a good proc reminder related on the events and recordings, what we have available. And we have MVP Let Getting Started Viva series, which runs weekly interactive webinars at 7 a.m. Pacific time. And that's actually really, really cool. So having more content related on the Viva and Viva adoption all up. So that's basically all of the individual Viva modules and so on, which is really, really great. Now, CLI for Microsoft 365 Spring Cleaning Initiative. What is this?
Yes, the spring is here. We talked about it already. The spring is in Finland, apparently. It isn't here in the Netherlands. It's raining and it's gray and it's windy. Nevertheless, the flowers are blooming, the trees are blooming, or whatever. So the spring is here. And with that, we thought like, hey, we have, over the course of time, we accumulated a number of, issues, things that have been around that we wanted to get done for a long time, and we didn't get to it. So that was like, hey, why not clean up the project? So we identify a number of issues with spring cleaning issues, right? So basically work with us to get some of those things that have been out there for a while that we always tended to get to, but we didn't. Work with us to get them done and earn an extra badge. So this is really cool. This is going now, and this is going until end of spring, which is June 20. Right? Is there a date?
No date.
So the northern hemisphere, end of spring is end of this. So we still have a bunch of time, but nowadays, time flies when you're having fun. So be quick. We still have quite a few of these issues for you to work on. So it will be really cool to see you pick any of them up.
Cool. Awesome, really, really cool. And then there was an update related on introducing NPM package provenance, how to verify link NPM packages to your source repository and build instructions. So this is actually really, really, really good stuff, because how else would you be able to verify the packages which are using from NPM? And it would not be the first time there's an unknown package which has a surprise update which is causing problems or is even malicious. So basic idea here is that we're improving the GitHub owns nowadays NPM and we're improving the reliability of NPM engine.
Exactly right. So it is exactly that so that you can have this end-to-end assurance, right? That the code that you're running originates from a repo, from commit, and you can trace all of that back. And it doesn't mean that the package doesn't have malicious code, because if the code is in the repo, it will be included in the package still. But it's still this end-to-end chain of assurance that you can actually verify, right? That the package you use can be linked to this commit, and you can see all of that and verify what's in there. So this is really, really cool. And again, as we use more and more things that are coming from NPM, this is a great step towards that extra assurance. And I hope that we will see more packages on NPM to use it.
Yep, absolutely. Now, Lorian Strand had a new blog post related to attempting to explain Teams share channels to end users. So basically, what is it, how does it work, and scenarios, and trying to explain what it actually does. But why? Now, but thank you, Lorian, on this one. Really, really cool. These are really, really good for clarifying what happens behind the scenes and what does it actually mean in practice. So Chris O'Brien had a new blog post related on managed Azure OpenAI and ChatGPT costs, and he's been investigating this stuff quite a lot.
Exactly, right? So as we use more and more AI, as we are experimenting with it, and we are curious, what else can we do with that? Well, the flip side is it's not free. So how do you keep track of all the costs you make? How can you plan for it? How can you keep track on, like how much you will spend so that you don't exceed it and you will not get out of the blue a bill for thousands, billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars, right? So basically allowing you to keep track of the cost and your spend, and allowing you to plan all of that and to be ahead of it so that you will avoid any extra costs that you didn't plan. Really, really important stuff as you are experimenting with this stack.
Yep, absolutely. Now, Wonder Laura had a new blog post, and I think there's a video. Typically, there's a video as well, unless I'm completely mistaken. No, not in this case, which is move SharePoint designer workflows to Power Automate. So what does it actually mean? Because the SharePoint 2013 designers will be going away, as we covered already in the previous blog post, as we're doing. So how do you do this? How do you plan it? What are the steps? And then how do you transition those to be in Power Automate? So really, really cool. Let's click that one and say,
Another article that talks about SharePoint 2013 workflow retirement, right? So, and this time it is article from Horace, right, who goes again through what we already said. SharePoint workflow 2013 is end of life. We are not removing it just yet. We announced that we will stop investing in it, and we announced a date that it will go away. So keep that in mind already. Plan, because you don't want to find yourself at the end of the road when the runway is gone, and you're like, okay, I need to fix this now because it's too late. So
absolutely,
be ahead of it.
Now, Martin had a new blog post. His blog posts are really, very cool because they're super descriptive and they cover a lot of things as well, using the on-behalf flow in Azure PowerShell functions. And this is a relatively typical scenario, for example, when you're using SPFX or a application, and then you do delegation for authentication or whatever you do, and call the Azure function, and then the PowerShell is running there. So actually going through the different options, how would you do that? How do you set up things and configure things? And how do you then call the Azure function within a code as well, and how to make things work. It's really, very cool. Thank you, Martin. Step by step, going that through as well. Then there was a blog post from Marcin Wojciechowski. That wasn't too bad. See?
Yes,
Martin
almost.
Yeah.
Almost. Yeah. If my Finnish is as your Polish now, it's okay. I get it, right? And in this article, he writes about how can you use link expression with Microsoft Graph.net SDK. And this is a really cool thing, right? Because like if you are used to .NET, you probably use link expressions a lot, like to get data, query, objects, and so forth and so on. And out of the box, apparently, you cannot use it on the Microsoft Graph.net SDK, but there are ways in which you can go about it. And it's really interesting to see folks push limits and finding new ways. And it's also cool to see product groups internally look at it like, yes, this is interesting. It's cool to see folks kind of communicate the needs that they have to the product groups to have that included in products. So this is really great way to share feedbacks and needs.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, Marcin, on that one. And there was also an update on PnP.js. Version 3.14 is now out, and there is a new package, which is really, really cool package, which is PnP AZID.js client. That's how you'd actually do that. AZID.js client. What? Client. But it's basically helping on doing the authentication to when you are using Azure Node.js solutions with PnP.js. So this is really targeting making that side of the easier. So in a server side in Azure, you're running a Node.js solution, which is then connecting SharePoint Online. So not client side. That's not really for client side because you don't. Well, anyway, so confusing. Super clear, isn't it?
Yes.
What was it? Message Center Show had a new weekly update, Team Spatial audio, video messaging, and more. Again, a great summary on what's actually happening here. So what are the latest announcements in the Message Center for administrators, and then going through what the MVPs know about and what has been published related on those functionalities. So again, really cool stuff here as well. Then we had a update or new video from Paolo Pialorsi in Piazzos, and what's new in SharePoint Framework 1.17.1. And this really focusing again on 6 minutes, 51 seconds, going through all of the different capabilities and features which were included in 1.17 or 1.17.1, which was still the small improvement still on 1.17. So talking about the different ways of then taking advantage of those new features from code perspective, which is super cool as well. And then Shane had a one more video, skip track, Power Apps collection introduction. So basically, what are the Power Apps collections and what you should be knowing about Power Apps connections as you start implementing your Power Apps and practical examples on how to use them as well. So which is really, really cool. That is the collection, Power App connection collection. Is it? I think it is. Yes.
If you're saying so.
Yes. Cool. What's happening this week, Waldek?
What happening this week? This week is the week before. This the silence before the storm. Next week. We are having new release of Microsoft Graph Developer Proxy, CLI for Microsoft 365. So it's the week where we wrap up some of the work, right? Release notes, prep everything for the release. Other than that, we're planning another event, TBD, or you will hear more about it soon. We're not there. We're not announcing anything just yet, but there will be something coming soon. So that's taking some of the time too. And other than that, it's very much more than enough already.
Yes. I will be basically doing conference prep, and conference prep, you know. We have
that is so unlike you.
Yes. That's good. That was good. So, but yeah, so we have the Microsoft 365 conference next week. I'm in 2 workshops, 2 sessions, and apparently in a keynote. So there's quite a few things to get clarified and the demos. And to be fair, for your comment, I'm fine if I would have my own personal session because it's just setting slides and starting storytelling and then making sure the demos are working. Good, execute. But whenever you're doing a session with somebody else or who you haven't necessarily done that in the past, it gets much more complicated. So, because people need to communicate and agree on who's doing what where and what is the storyline and transitions and all of that stuff.
Actually, like what is the next step, making it even more complex? Organizing the whole event.
Yes, true. Now, 2 weeks after the Microsoft 365 conference, next week, Las Vegas, 2 weeks after that, we'll have then the ECS as well. So we need to start prepping on that and build on overlapping on that as well. And then, of course, the community calls happens every single week anyway. So last week, actually, we had more than 1,200 people joining live on the community calls. So
that's insane.
That's pretty cool.
That's so really cool.
Yeah, it's good to see those. But again, that I would say coming back on the discussion which we started, which is about the MVP Summit and what it means, and the timeline sequences are changing. So it's no longer shipping in every single 3 years; it's shipping every single week, and that really comes back on this speed of innovation and speed of communication, which we need to get in place as well. And that's why community calls, and there's a high demand for organizations to then demo their new stuff in community calls as well, rather than wait for, well, whenever the build is, we're going to just show the coolest thing ever. It's in 6 months. Yeah, I know. We'll wait until.
So we will ship now and then wait 6 months to show it to people. Like that doesn't really work, right? I mean, like you want to own the message, so you got to get out there. And yeah, it's really cool to hear that community goals are that venue, are that stage for everybody to show, whether that's the hacks that they do, samples that they build, or even product groups who build a product and want to show it to the audience. So this is really, really cool to hear that we have that stage ready for everybody, whether you work internally on product, you work on projects, or you build cool things in community.
Yep, absolutely. That was a good advertisement. Please sign up to volunteer to do a demo. Demos, we do welcome community demos within these calls as well. So, but I guess that's it for now. So thanks, Chandani, one more time. Really cool to catch up. Thank you, Waldek. We'll be back within a week.
We will.
Cheers.
Bye.